bit of background about yourself.
I've lived in El Paso most of my life. I attended elementary school, Hillside here, middle school Ross, and high school was Burgess. Went to the University of Texas at El Paso, graduated with a BA degree in Spanish and French, minor in education, and taught for about 24 years, grades K through 12. Went back during that time for my master's in remedial reading, got a bilingual certification, 30 hours above my master's. Worked as a USI mentor for 5 years, the Urban Systemic Initiative. Retired, lived with my husband for 1 year, and we're still married. And went back to work. So I taught for 1 year and then went to work in central office. So
What do you think is the most important issue facing the district you're running for?
money. I do. I really think money is the most important issue. And I heard it last night at the school board meeting, that nobody knows how much money they're going to get, and the district is concerned about layoffs, and they're concerned about future layoffs and not knowing how much money they're going to get. So they're very concerned about the money situation.
What are your thoughts about the cuts made at the legislature towards education in Texas?
I don't think it's right that they've made those cuts, and some of the cuts were harsh, and it does not behoove to do that to the education in Texas. It really doesn't.
So everyone's talking about cuts because of the budget. Are you of the opinion that we need to make cuts in personnel, and if so, where do you make those cuts?
I do believe we need to make cuts, and I don't think we need to make cuts in the classroom. I really don't. I was a teacher for 24 years. I know exactly what's going on in the classroom. I do think we need to make cuts in central office. I think it's very top-heavy. There are 107 people in central office, facilitator and up. As opposed, we have 46. We had, in 2005, 2006, 43 directors and up in central office. Now we have 76 people in central office, director or above. And I don't think we have less students. If we have less students, why do we have so many people in central office now? So that's my concern. I think, and not the cuts with the little people, because they say they have cut, and they have cut the program assistants, some staff developers, but the big guys at the top, they haven't cut, and I think they should be.
And any idea of what areas you would be looking at in administration to cut?
Well, again, we used to have 3 associate superintendents. Now we have 11 assistant and associate superintendents. I don't know why we need all those people up there. I'm still wondering about that. That is one of my biggest concerns. We have directors, assistant directors, executive directors in central office. We don't need all those people in central office.
What are your thoughts about raising money through bonds?
When you raise money through bonds, you raise taxes, I believe. Is that correct? And I don't think we can raise taxes. I do not know much about raising money through bonds. That's a question that I can't answer. I really don't know.
Okay. What are your thoughts about technology in the classroom?
I think it's great. I really think it's wonderful. And one of my jobs as a faculty supervisor, that I go out to watch in the classrooms, and some of the technology that I've seen is phenomenal. And the projectors that they have now, the whiteboards that they have, I think it's wonderful. And I hope that they continue to be able to provide that technology to the classrooms.
What kind of experience do you have managing budgets?
A little bit. Not very much, because when I worked in central office, I worked as a staff developer in curriculum and instruction. I was given a budget, and with that budget, I used that budget to the best of my ability without ever going over that budget. So just a little bit, not a lot. Not a lot.
What's your philosophy about education as it relates to educating the student in the classroom?
My philosophy is to educate every student to the best of their ability, and to have good teachers doing it. That's my philosophy.
What do you think about standardized testing?
Absolutely hate it. And I will tell you that. I'm very honest with you about that. And I'll give you an example. Franklin High School has been a recognized high school for the past 2 years. And yet their SAT scores have gone down for the past 5 years. So I'm concerned here a little bit, because if you're a recognized school, that means you're doing great.
2430, late 2430.
But in 2006, their average score was 1,010 on the SAT. It's gone down to 971. 82% took the test in 2005, 2006. 77% of the seniors took the test last year. So you can't tell me that we're jiving here when we have low SAT scores and we're a recognized school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, an assistant principal the other day said to me, Helene, I'm going to put the numbers down. She says we have 34 days of common assessments, 34 days to check them. 3 days of mock testing, 3 days to check them. 3 days of benchmarks, 3 days to check them. 6 days for students who don't pass the mock test or the benchmarks. And then we have 3 days of the tax test. So, I mean, we have a lot of days during our school year that is devoted to standardized testing.
Mm.
And we're not teaching. We're teaching to a test.
How do you work in small groups? How do you deal with conflict?
I listen to both sides of the argument and try to find the facts first. That's important. Let's find the facts. Facts are important to me. There's a lot of emotion when you have conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and facts are important.
One of the biggest things that's happened in the public corruption scandal, a lot of people have gone really largely undiscussed, is the fact that there were so many school board members that were involved in the ongoing investigation. If you were approached by a company, business, organization, group, whatever, and they asked you to do something you found ethically questionable, how would you respond? How would you react?
Never would do it. I never would. I like sleeping at night, and I'm honest. I would never do anything that was questionable. I would always find out what the rules are first. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. When we talked about cuts earlier, and this will probably be my last question for you. When we talked about cuts earlier, we talked about cuts at administration. Is there ever a time you would examine making cuts at extracurricular activities to avoid cuts in the classroom?
No, never. And I'll tell you why. You know, I was a second grade teacher, and I always taught art in my classroom because I never knew if I had a second grade student that was one day going to be a phenomenal artist. So I would never cut either this, or we're going to have a phenomenal baseball player. Never would I ever cut those pieces of the education. Ever.
Okay, great. So if you had an opportunity to talk to a voter right now, or voters watching this, what would your message be to them?
My message would be to stop the wasteful spending that we have with this district on the testing materials that they're using. Find out exactly what the budget is and where the money is going. Focus on the teachers in the classroom. And make central office viable and for the whole district. That's basically what my message would be.
All right, thank you. Okay, talk to me a little bit about ebooks and your philosophy on that.
Okay, I thought about that question, and ebooks has been around for a long time. Even when I left the district in 2005, I had heard about ebooks. So let's just do a hypothetical situation about ebooks. We have 64 students in our district. Let's take away 4,000 students from kindergarten, first, and second grade. So we're going to give ebooks to students in grades 3 through 12. Well, you got to give everybody a computer. So $400 a computer, that's about $20 million. And then you have to have the site license for those ebooks. And a company is not going to say to a teacher, okay, just give this CD to the student. All those CDs go into the computer based on that site license. And who knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that's going to cost.
But don't you, as a district, have the ability to negotiate two things, price of software and price of the hardware, in the same way that you have the ability to negotiate textbook prices, depending on the size of your district?
Probably. But I'm just doing a hypothetical situation based on numbers that we're just dealing with logistically. $400 a computer. I think that's a great price for a computer. Have no clue because I've never seen ebooks sold to a district. I've never seen how much the site license is. But then I'm talking about, all the books, so a fourth grader has to have all his books loaded into his or her computer. All right, they take it home. Not all children have printers, so you have to deal with the printing situation. Not all students have an internet that they have to deal. So what do? Do they print up their homework? They type it into their computer, take it to school, print it up on the printer at school.
That's what my kids do in high school.
Okay, but we're talking about grades 3 through 12. And then what happens when the computer breaks? Does the child get the books for that for all his courses until the computer is fixed? What is the cost of the manpower to fix those computers? What's the cost to the parent, and what kind of contract do they have to sign if the computer is lost? So there's a lot of factors involved when you talk about ebooks.
That's interesting though, because I know for a fact that EPISD already issues laptops to a large population of students, and all
But
the
are
students that are in the early college program are all issued those, and they have those same issues, of warranty, of the cost of the software, the cost of the hardware, replacement costs, stuff like that. They all have those same issues, and they seem to do okay with it.
Well, I don't have issues when it's for high school students, because they have their courses are basically end of courses, and they're going to take exams on that, and they're pretty savvy about computers. But I have issues when it comes to grades 3 through 8 to a certain extent. And when I listen to people talk, well, they have to carry all those heavy books. I don't mind them having a computer, but I need to know what the cost issues are going to be for the district. Are we getting a grant for that? Is that grant going to take care of fixing those computers, replacing those computers? What would happen if everybody brings their computer to school and I've seen classrooms where there's just 2 plugs in the classroom. I taught in classrooms that there were only, one plug was over there and the other plug was over there. And so those are issues that I think all of us have to deal with when we think about that. We just can't say, oh, that sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. I would certainly start with high school students first, and then maybe move on down to grades 3 through 8.
All right, fair enough.